Hello, welcome back to the channel in the first video in something I'm going to be calling my diaries series. I've entered an online league as part of the Vassal community, and I put it out there to the general Warhammer Underworlds fan base, I guess, on the Facebook page as to which warband I should use. The caveat was it's warbands that I've not used in competitive play before. So there was a handful on there, ranging from all majority. I think it was all from Nightvault and Beastgrave. I think I've used all the Shadespire ones, and you lovely people chose the Godsworn for me. Thanks. So anyway, let's chat about them, the list that I've put together for my first game, and how I got on in that first game. Okay, so the Godsworn Hunt, I've made it quite clear in previous videos that I'm not a fan of the Godsworn. Evidence is here. I bought them on the opening weekend, and unfortunately I've just not had the urge to play them at all. The universal cards in there were great, but the warband itself didn't really attract me at all. So putting a deck together was a bit difficult, really, because I don't really know what they were about. I kind of looking at the fighters, very squishy, 3 health for the max, average speed, not really dishing out much in terms of damage. The leader you can kind of spells with, but only a level 1, so there wasn't really much there for me to work on. So I think I made 3 or 4 lists in the end. Quick thanks to Bantha Fodder and Mad Angry, who kind of helped me with the final, kind of putting together the concept of the final list. I initially kind of went for kind of like a flex list, a little bit of aggro, a little bit of kind of grabbing objectives on the board, and as Mad Angry pointed out, just try not to reinvent the wheel with these guys. They can be quite a potent aggro deck, and that's the kind of angle I went down. When these guys inspire, they don't really change too much. If you look, the boss goes up to 2, can cause 3 damage. Gundam as well can cause 3, gets a little bit quicker. Gets cleave, a little bit more damage, a bit quicker. Gets cleave, 2 defense, and Grawl. Poor little guy. Look at him. He's the cannon fodder. He is in there literally for scoring 1 or maybe 2 of my objectives. But let's go to the list, the deck, sorry, itself. So we'll start with the objectives. So the kind of plan was to try and get as many easy scoring objectives in there to just rack up the glory, to be able to put upgrades on my guys that give them, it inspires them, and then kind of gives them a bit more of an edge to try and kill the opposition. And in terms of what I scored, it worked a little bit. I'll kind of get into that a bit more later on, but they're all fairly easy scoring objectives. If you look at what is in there: cover ground, move 6, calculated risk, run through a lethal hex, 1 for crawl, digging deep, again just drawing cards, fired up, dependent on scoring glory, or there's a gambit which kind of helps me with that. Keep chopping. Now, I didn't score this in the previous in the game. Again, it will be quite obvious as to why when I chat about that. But I will be keeping that in there because I'm playing an aggro deck. I've got enough guys in the Warband to be able to score that. Lethal repertoire, and the whole kind of point of my deck is to get these upgrades on my guys to try and kill the opposition. So that's a good one to have in. Loner, again, probably one for Crawl, because have Crawl kind of sit at the back while everyone else charges forwards. If I haven't used him for calculated risk, or put him up to be martyred, if I put this in instead of Strong Start, because of how squishy the guys in the Warband are. I think the people that I was chatting to about the deck, I think they both preferred Strong Start, but that's putting a lot of faith in your dice, and I also have my own way of being able to score martyred without there needing to be an attack, as I'll kind of point out in the gambits. What armor? This is at the minute. This is the one card I'd probably change. There's a couple of guys that have cleave, but they didn't get the chance to attack in that game in the first round. Worthy kill. If I'm playing an aggro deck, there's going to be a lot of warbands out there with wound characteristics of 4 and 2 glory. Seems, that's quite a good kind of swing for glory, particularly if paired up with a couple of my upgrades. It's a very good kind of combo card, which could be a bit of a money shot in the deck. So there's definitely something that I'd keep in there. Gather momentum. Now, I scored this not from the charge. I scored it from getting 2 surge cards in that phase. But as those surge cards are really easy to score, that's quite an easy card to score, particularly with the gathered momentum charge side aspect of it as well, to kind of add that as a backup. A lot of my guys move 5 already, and I'll have the gambits and upgrades to be able to do that as well. And then to the end, scored this both times, and despite the fact that, as you can see, I've got 21 power cards, but I managed to score that quite easily both times, so that is definitely staying in. So with regards to the objectives, I'm going to be keeping most of those. I might change what armor, might change it to Frantic Exchange, and that's something that I'm going to have a wee little think about. But I'm happy with the objectives. It's keeping the deck nice and simple. The Godsworn Hunt have a really interesting mechanic with regards to objectives, where if you, with some of their own personal ones, if you basically say what you've got, there's a so for example, there's a conquest one where you say you've got it. If you score it, you get a bonus glory for what it's on top of what it's already worth. So it turns a 2 glory card into a 3 glory card. I didn't put any of those in there because I just wanted to have kind of like easy scoring stuff so that I could quickly upgrade my guys. It's something that I might explore a bit later on in the league. We'll just kind of see how that second game goes. Okay, so now on to the gambits. With my gambits, I really just wanted to have things that could make my guys quicker, help me draw cards, and kind of give me extra kind of dice on my attacks, and kind of give me a little bit of board control as well to help me out. Distraction, everyone has that now. You all know what it does. It's a kind of a must-have card in there. Mischievous Spirits. In the game, it didn't really matter. Neither of us were objective grabbing. It's a must-have tournament card, but in like a one-on-one game, I think that might be coming out. I might be changing it for something else. I'm not sure what yet. But with regards to like, I've got no interest in objectives. If I'm playing an objective grabbing person, then it's a nice counter to have. But when my main kind of, I'm just going flat out aggro, then in theory I've killed all your guys. Mischievous Spirits is a dead card, so that's something that I might be changing. Brutal Sacrifice. So if you don't know what this is, choose a friendly fighter adjacent to another friendly fighter, add an upgrade in your hand that can be applied to the fighter you chose. The other fighter is taken out of action, and the upgrade is applied to the fighter you chose. So, great way of scoring martyred, great way of getting someone inspired. This is one of the things that I mentioned about using Crawl for, keeping that in. Not sure if I used it in the game. I can't remember, but it's quite a nice card, I think, particularly if you're just using Crawl for scoring objectives that require someone to die or to get injured. Dark Destiny. So play this during an attack action that would take a friendly fighter out of action. Roll a defense dice on a shield or a crit. The fighter takes no damage, it's not driven back, and is not taken out of action. Orc players who would recognise that, unkillable on Gerzak. So I did have this in my deck, and I forgot it in the first game. It wouldn't have made too much of a difference, but it might have helped me out a little bit if I remembered that. It's my biggest flaw for getting reactions. So, and particularly in an online game, there's no reason not to forget them, because you're going to have it written in front of you. So I'm keeping it in because it's a good card to have, but I need to remember it in the future. Godsworn Attack. The first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation has +1 dice. This kind of helped me get an attack up to 6 dice. It's a great card to have in there with a combo. Galvanized reaction. Play this after an attack action that takes a friendly fighter out of action, +2 dice to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation. I really like that card. It just pumps up the amount of dice that you have, and in theory, if you're chucking 5 to 6 dice, you're going to hit most things. I know we've all done it where we've chucked an obscene amount of dice and you've needed shields, 1 support and a crit to be able to hit, and you just rolled swords and 2 supports. But you have to play the numbers, and this definitely helps your numbers out. Next up, Frenzied Search. I've got to the end of my deck, and if you've got to the end, then you need Frenzied Search in there. That's kind of simply put there. Tracking, +1 to move. I don't have any hunters, so I don't get the +2, but +1 to move just kind of helps me to be able to score cover ground. Unnatural Truce, again, helps me find those cards I need, and helps with to the end. And then Spectral Wings, just another way of being able to up that movement and to get me sort of into where I need to be, and to help cover ground and gather momentum as well. So the Gambits, Mischievous Spirits is probably the only one I've changed in there. Would I go up to 22 and maybe put in another card as well? That's something definitely worth thinking about. I scored to the end really easily. Both those games. There might have been a reason as to why that was, but it's definitely something worth bearing in mind. Maybe to get another ploy in there, just to kind of help out. Okay, so upgrades. These were just literally ways to help with my attacks. So Great Strength, add 1 to your damage. Path to Glory, +1 wounds, +1 dice to this fighter's attack actions. You may only apply this upgrade to a fighter that has an upgrade. That was really good. yeah, I think that's quite an essential card if you're playing aggro. So just for that extra dice, really. And the wounds don't really matter too much because as I think the minute you put Path to Glory on someone, that person becomes a target. So it's definitely something to get on your guys the turn you're making the attack. So a bit like a Potion of Rage or a Haymaker type scenario. Crown of Avarice. I've got really squishy guys. It worked for me. I managed to get a sort of a glory off it. It's if you've got guys that can die pretty easily, it's something that is probably worth putting in still, despite the fact that they changed the fact that you could get they changed the window, so if someone kills you, you don't get that glory they get from the kill. It has to be a glory that they've already got. Glory Seeker, +1 damage to anything with 4 or more wounds. It's quite essential now. There's a lot out there that has that, and again, it's in an aggro deck quite an essential card. As is this one, Potion of Rage, and we all know what that does. +2 dice, and so potentially with all these kind of different things in my ploys, I think I can potentially get up to 6 dice, possibly 7. But it's definitely a card that you need to have in. Swordbreaker. This is a meta card, really. Killing people's upgrades in a world where lost pages seem to be making an appearance is literally the only reason I had it in there. Potentially something that I would take out because in a one-on-one scenario, you probably need something that's more of a jack of all trades. So I might take that out, put another one of the Amberbone weapons in. I'm not totally sure yet. Something that I'm going to be thinking about. But in a tournament, it's probably a good weapon to have in the old caddy bag, as with lost pages rearing its head, being able to get rid of that particular upgrade that helps at scoring those lost pages is a good thing. Tome of Offerings, every aggro deck has it. Restricted slot, kind of well taken there. Anything that kind of helps with scoring extra glory is good to have, and this kind of ties in really well with my next 3, the Amberbone Axe. So if you use it in the 1 range attack, you gain an extra glory point for the kill. Same with the Amberbone Dagger, you get an extra glory point. And the Amberbone Dagger is quite good. It gets cleave if you manage to get a crit in there. Amberbone Spear, again, gain a glory point if you get a kill with it. So combine those with Tome of Offerings, and potentially that's a 3-kill card, which is nice. I can kind of keep you amongst it. Sprinting Charm, just a nice way to kind of help me score those cover grounds and gather momentums. So just kind of the deck. I don't have any problems with the deck. The kind of way that they play the Godsworn Hunt are really, really combo dependent. So scoring glory early with those easy to score objectives, and then getting your guys into position and getting the right card combo in to be able to get 1 or 2 kills is probably the way that I need to be able to win with this deck. Did I win with this deck? Well, no. But no, I didn't. But let's quickly chat about the game that I had. So, my first league game was against Benny. We all know Benny. We all know Benny's a really good player. He won the last league, so it was going to be a tough ask for me anyway. Despite the deck that I had, I would have had to have had the perfect game really to sort of get past Benny. I have been, just to let you know, I have been sworn to secrecy on his deck because he was testing something out for the big team event that the Path to Glory guys are hosting. So secret safe for me, mate. But it was a really good, really strong deck. And the kind of main issue that I had with regards to the two games, I lost 2-0. And it was 22-6 the first game and 22-11 the second game. He scored a lot of his objectives and he killed a lot of my guys. The problem that I had was I lost the board roll both times, and there wasn't an optimum board for me that I could think of to start off with. He offset the boards. He didn't long board me, which I was expecting when I lost, but he did offset. And there doesn't seem to be, if you're just going flat out aggro, and there's a lot of you, there doesn't seem to be that many ways of being able to get in amongst it. And that was where my main issue was. I wasn't able to get any attacks in until kind of halfway through the second activation, and by that point his guys had inspired. They were quite hard to kill, and I think if I'm going to win, I need to kill at least 2 of you guys if I'm going to be able to win with these guys. Ironically, my original plan of being a flex warband and a kind of having, I think I had like supremacy and oath for supremacy in there. If I had those in, I might have put up a better fight because I would have kind of keeping some of the guys back. But I just couldn't get amongst them quick enough. I had a couple of opportunities to get some sort of big kills in. I killed his leader in the second game, but I was up against a strong deck. I was up against all from the roll off, and more importantly, I was up against a really good player. Benny, I mentioned it in the last video about the boards that I don't pay much attention to them, so we're going to be doing a bit of board homework this week, just in case I lose those board rolls again. What are your thoughts with regards to the Godsworn? I know there's people out there that have won events with them in this new kind of phase with regards to the changes to the FAR. Am I missing a trick? Is there something that I'm not including that I should do? Who knows? Are the Godsworn still really bad? Who knows? Keep an eye out. It's not been announced who my next game is against just yet, so give us a follow on the Twitter at NoBeefJustParty. I'll be kind of keeping people posted on there. Give us a little subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. You may have noticed I've tidied up the channel a little bit. I've taken out the Hearthstone content, taken out the World of Warcraft stuff. I'm just kind of mainly focusing now on Underworlds and the kind of little Salt Bay sprinkling of 40k when 9th edition comes out. Warhammer Underworlds online as well. That's predominantly played on my Twitch channel, but same, No Beef Just Party, but I will be kind of uploading the old rounds here or there to give you little teasers to try and hook you in when I do go live. Yeah, that's the first section of my Godsworn Diaries done. Keep an eye out for the rest of it, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you again real soon. Cheers. Bye.